Let me begin with Dr. Sugandha Johar. She is an independent researcher passionate about heritage and environmental sustainability, with micro level actions like planting native trees on sidewalks and community gardens, very much needed in these days. An archaeologist, her doctoral work helped document the till then untouched site Anegondi. Anegondi, am I saying it right?
You're right. It's Anegondi.
Anegondi. Okay, Anegondi, the first capital of Vijayanagar Empire. After a long break from motherly duty, she has spent the last 10 years in documenting Maheshwar, the capital of Ahilyabai Holkar, which was published by K.R. Kama Oriental Institute as Ahilyabai Maheshwar. Very interesting. I'm deeply interested. I would like to connect with you. Her current projects are documenting Holkar architecture in Maharashtra, running the Discord group, aspects of heritage, and just launched the Hindi vlog on Sachi Virasat on YouTube for well-researched, hard to find information on heritage matters. This is incredible, and we are eagerly waiting to hear from you.
Good Lord, when you say that, I didn't intend that you read out the whole damn thing.
No, actually, I was also not intending, but it is so interesting that I had to, and I think that people who are here also must know that. So,
okay, I come here not as an expert of tourism, but as someone who's deeply interested in heritage and who loves to travel. So my this thing is in terms of consumer and as a woman. So when I started looking after talking to Anand into literature about sustainability and heritage tourism, what struck me was that most times the two definitions are totally skewed. When you talk of sustainability, nobody ever seems to mention the participation of the women and how heritage tourism is affecting them. And secondly, even though UNESCO also talks about intangible heritage, when we start working on heritage issues, the Archaeological Survey of India and any literature, research papers or books that you find rarely bring in those aspects of heritage into tourism. I was very pleasantly surprised when I visited the Kakadu National Park in Australia. And I was and just because of that, I was very impressed with Dr. Vora's saying, because for me, heritage is also a lot of conservation and a lot of local participation. You know, the Kakadu National Park and the Ayers Rock of Australia, they are now given back to the Aboriginal communities. And they have their own guides and they have their own ideas, and they give you sort of a hands-on experience of what it was to be there and through their eyes, not just. Of course, even there, I found fewer women, but at least there were some women. What struck me again with Dr. Vora's thing, that the women are doing their traditional jobs. They're only looking after the homes and stuff, but they're not being prepared to become birders or others. So if suppose there is a group of women, and if you have a woman guide, I would rather go for a woman guide because she will have a different gaze. And that, I think, is one of the biggest problems. And the other question of sustainability. Sustainability is not just in terms of conservation, but to me, sustainability is also in terms of whether tastes and tourism, you know. Sometimes you find a particular destination is in great demand. And then suddenly, for inexplicable reasons, including the fact that the heritage values get degraded, people stop going there. So what happens to all those communities who are now used to it? Are we preparing them and training them, and are we adding newer aspects of their heritage for people to enjoy, to keep going back? I meet any number of people who say, oh, I visited Ajanta once, I visited Ellora once. But then if you stop and just clock groups, they walk through that in 3 minutes. because there is no one explaining the whole thing. There's no one explaining that. There's so much research done on the aspects of how the people live, with who they, but
Yeah.
but there, I mean, what do people do at the end of the day? There are no presentations. There's no free thing where they can go and watch and learn about the place. Why
Yeah.
aren't we doing that?
There's no educational immersion.
There's no educational immersion. And the worst thing,
just
the aesthetics of it. Our Archaeological Survey of India thinks aesthetics means just planting lawns. For God's sake, they're planting lawns on the granite boulders of Vijayanagar Hampi. In fact, after what I saw, what they did with after their World Heritage listing, I am extremely skeptical and hope nothing else gets World Heritage listing. The site is essentially destroyed. The first time I visited Hampi was in '79. And the vibes and the feel and the stuff that you get there is completely lost because all sorts of unnatural boundaries with barbed wire fencing has been put. That is not heritage tourism. That is just guiding them from one point to another.
Yeah.
I don't have answers, but I do have questions and things that these are the areas that we need to start.
I think we definitely need questions more than the answers. So thank you so much, Sugandha. I think we'll just do this quick round first and then get into more detailed discussions later. I would now like to ask Kumar Anubhav to give his input. Kumar is a certified mountaineer, social thinker, and engineer, certified on entrepreneurship skills from Wharton School.
Mandvi, please slow down a little.
Okay, so sorry. Okay, again, Kumar, he's a certified mountaineer, a social thinker, an engineer, and certified on entrepreneurship skills from Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, has a passion for purposeful travel. Kumar quit his corporate life to bring positive impacts in the lives of marginalized rural communities of India and thus started a social innovative solution called NotOnMap. It's a UN WTO recognized sustainable tourism startup. I would request Kumar to talk more about it and also link it with climate change and sustainability.
Sure. Thank you, Mandvi, for the description, and a pleasure to hear you, Dr. Sugandha. And I totally.
Please, I'm Sugandha. I'm just Sugandha.
Sugandha, okay. So it's really, I mean, what you are saying is actually, I totally echo with that. I strongly believe at NotOnMap that every culturally rich communities, which is hidden somewhere, is a piece of heritage in itself. Of course, the monuments and other things are also a heritage. But these societies, which act as a teacher because of their cultural way of life for thousands of years, for hundreds of years, the kind of dresses they wear, the food they eat, the practices they have adopted without knowing that why they are following those practices, because that helps them live, sustain themselves without possibly having any influence from outside world. Village by definition, village to be a self-sustaining unit earlier. It was capable of managing all the waste which are produced within the village. It was not capable of handling the waste created outside. A chips created outside, the villagers was not ready. But a waste being produced, it was always ready. Every culture of the world, it had its own practices based on the philosophies, based on the so-called local, I would say, experimentation which the culture actually brought in. They had this practice, but unfortunately, and that's how the development happens. We had the industrial revolution earlier, then you have today's is the revolution happening. All development brings in some level of destruction for sure. But development brings destruction. Now the challenge is that every time development happens, it happens by putting the question that, okay, we want to move from A to B in n number of years. Nobody or rather very few people ask the question, what we do not want to be from A to Z in next 30 to 40 years. I keep talking about like when we started climbing Everest, it was a matter of pride, but nobody thought that if a lot of people will follow in, what sort of destruction can it begin? What we are cleaning right now, if we had the policies implemented right in the beginning, then things would not have been bad as it is today at the Everest Base Camp or other places. It's just an example, by the way. So what Sugandha was also mentioning right now, we need to have the policies. And well, we are not talking about policy coming from the top all the time. We can't expect state government, central government to actually frame a policy. One size cannot fit all. But at least a policy level changes or at a panchayat level can definitely be implemented. Let us look at the smallest unit of our administrative body. A village can define, like you look at in this pandemic times, Spiti decided, okay, we will not invite travelers in this particular time. They decided, while the first wave got over, travelers were going elsewhere, but Spiti decided we will not accept travelers for a number of period. That was a local decision. It was not a decision which was coming from the state government. It was a local decision, right? So, well, sustainability is basically ensuring that whatever we have the policies framework, which is followed by the people who are there and also by people outside. There are a lot of things to talk about, Mandvi, even in terms of climate and everything. I would put forward my thoughts once you have the questions. Otherwise, this discussion will go haywire here and there. We have less time, more speakers, so many people, so would love to listen to others as well before actually I come forward and put forward my thoughts. But pride and pleasure to be here, Mandvi, and hear the other speakers and also participants their thoughts, perspectives out here.
Thanks, Anubhav. And then we have Prerna Prasad. She's representing Ecoplore. She spent 2 years in the ground researching by, visiting different eco-friendly hotels and understanding the real meaning of sustainable tourism. And this is really kudos to you. She aims to invest all her income generated from Ecoplore in developing the forest and returning it to the, back to the nature. I think you have a very fulfilling ambition in front of you. So please go ahead.
Yeah, hello everybody. It's my honor to be here. So I run this organization called Ecoplore. At Ecoplore, we promote hotels which are made of mud, wood, bamboo, stone, or any local architecture. So Sugandha was talking about heritage key also promote, because that's equally important if we talk about conservation. And inside their campus, because green planet Earth and ourselves, and they follow a lot of other sustainable measures like rainwater harvesting, composting, waste management, no use of plastic, hiring local people, and several others. Now, coming to what these eco hotels provide to the customers or to the guests who visit them. So they're located in serene locations which are closer to nature, which are near waterfall, mountain, riverside, or any natural location. They give you an experience of living in a vernacular architecture building and not a cement architecture. And they grow their own food. So the food served to the guests are homegrown, garden fresh, and they are home cooked in a homemade style. And they have a lot of activities in and around the campus. So for those people who live in the metros and the cities and who are tired of the chaos and the crowd of the cities, these are like perfect destinations to have a getaway and relax themselves. And at the same time, the most important part is that the guests who are choosing these hotels are contributing towards reduction in the carbon emission. So we got the carbon emission calculated of the eco hotels which we are promoting, and we compared it with the normal hotels which are existing in our country. And this calculation was done by an organization based out of Europe called No Carbon, and they calculated that an eco hotel generates 9 kg carbon emission per room per night, while any average hotel generates 75 kg carbon per room per night, and a luxury hotel generates 1000 kg carbon per room per night. So that was the kind of huge difference in the carbon emission between a sustainable hotel and a normal hotel. So now choice is of the customers to either choose wisely and go for a sustainable hotel rather than a regular one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prerna. I think we can also go into the nitty-gritty when we do this round now. Anand, would you like to chip in here for agriculture, and then we can take like a combined round, yeah? I can't hear you.
Can you?
Okay, now it's okay.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, hi, I'm Anand. I'm an ecologist by training, and I have survived for last 25, 26 years. Proud says was started in 1995. Although I trained as a researcher and scientist, I've worked in the ecotourism segment for almost close to 3 decades now. And what I've been doing, so it's wildlife tourism, agriculture tourism, heritage tourism, culture tourism, food tourism. These are the kind of things that I've been doing. Sugandha, can you hear me?
You have to be a little loud, Anand. Hai na?
Okay, one second. My mic is. Is this better?
Yes.
Better. Okay. So I've been in the segment of tourism, and like Sejal said, that many a times tourism is this volume kind of segment. You have 5 buses loads and 300 rooms. There's a lot of volume, and if in nature anything that we've understood that for sustainability of the local region and the local culture, if it needs to be preserved, then you have to go small. Very large volumes are not very, very good. That's one thing. That volume, quantity and quality are very different things, and that's where agriculture and tourism has to understand. Because the minute you bring in quantity, especially from the agriculture and food point of view, you will start getting the Western food. You will start getting the non-indigenous food, because the vegetables are not going to be enough to provide for 300 people. If you do it for 30 people, then it is a manageable resource. If same case with rooms also, if you want to do homestays, then you'll have 5 people or 7 people per household. If you want to keep 300, 5 busloads of people in a place, then you will need to create a multi-story tower like we are seeing in Yoksam also. I was so happy in Sikkim that the first time when we went in 1998, we were at 5 people, 4 people in every household, and the economy was distributed to those people. And then it suddenly changed. We were eating the momos, we were eating the thukpas, whatever was being cooked in their household, the ferns, the guchis that they were cooking was the local food that we were eating. We were getting 100% local flavor. Now we get pasta, now we get momo, we get chow mein, and because it's now the local people's lifestyle changes. The local clothes and dresses they used to wear, now they're in jeans and t-shirt, because you have to have a branded logo on your t-shirt, and you have to have a flag on your bag. So it's not prayer flags, which is probably the local thing, or it's not a tika or a diya, and for 300 people doing diya and fool, you'll be causing local damage to the local systems over there. Yeah, so you'll have to go and raid at the other market to get your flowers. So one has to understand that no milk, no food, parathas, rotis can be manageable for such a large number. And then you will bring in the genetically modified food. You will get in your cereals and your packaged food into the tourism and the agricultural systems. So one has to understand that. Second thing is that unfortunately, the local people, the real landholders, have become the lowest rung of the hierarchy in the tourism sector. So land owners are waiters, they are cooks, they are drivers, they are menial guides. They are the hosts of that place. आप उनके घर में जा रहे हो, you're going in their houses. So there is no dignity, So the owner of the land, you make a lease, you give them whatever amount, and then they're sitting as gatekeepers, as security of those properties. That is not a very good model, according to me. So, last point I have to say that when swimming pools and such kind of luxury is put into these places, you're taking the water out from the wells, you're taking the water out from the systems that are required for the local crops. You can't grow ragi, you can't grow nachni, you can't grow the millets that are the local food, jwari, etc. You're going to move to rice, you're going to move to wheat and the other cash crops that are there, because people are going to, everything is going to be an economy model. So one has to understand sustenance model versus economy model. That's I'd like to stop at that.
Yeah, I think that's really nicely put. Sustainable model versus economy model. Okay, So let's do this lightning lightning round. And if you've been in a Yin Yang session with me before, you'll know what it is. So we have this Excel sheet here with us, which is talking about 3 buckets, is what we usually manage in this time. Problems, threats or challenges, solutions or opportunities, and stakeholders. Let's at least try and cover these in this round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call on each name, and you give me very quickly, like in one sentence, a problem, a solution, and a stakeholder. Okay. Starting like I always want, do bottoms up. Rashida. Hi, Rashida.
Bye. Yeah, hello. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I've just been thinking about it, but I'm not really well versed with the problems. What I can see around here is that one of the main problem of not just obviously not the local indigenous communities, but at large about agriculture. What has really bothered me is the kind of rice agriculture that we are doing right now. So one of the problems I think is how do we control the methane generation? That's one thing that bothered, because climate change and carbon dioxide, methane being 2 of the major problems. The solutions are, of course, a lot of indigenous ways. I think even in RA, there is some kind of a sustainable rice agriculture being done. So that would be something that one can replicate, but that awareness and generation is not there. So that's one of the solutions I see. And of course, the opportunity is, as you know, as Anand was saying, this small little small places, with their local knowledge, which could be replicated at smaller scales, and best practices could be replicated. That's
Sure.
it. Thank you.
And any stakeholder, give me a stakeholder who's not been tapped so far.
Stakeholder in the sense that, there are these smaller communities which are practicing, like even if you take Mumbai's example, there are local communities who are even now, growing millets. So, but they are getting affected by the pollution and the kind of climate and the inorganic farming. So one needs to look at the sustainable farming practices, and these smaller farmers and the smaller communities need to be protected.
Yeah.
So a replication of the sustainable solutions which are there are very important.
Yes. Okay. So we'll need to find stakeholders exactly in application of sustainable
and they should be able to sustain their best practices.
Yeah.
So right now, if you at a larger scale, it's taken over. Like in the state of Maharashtra itself, you see there is a lot of sugarcane growing instead of the 3-4 crops they used to have.
Yeah.
There are farmers who are trying to do it, but again, the income, the whole farmers' agitation is because of the MSP. So if the MSP is given, then people will go into rotation of crops also.
Yes.
All these mainly it's the farmers who are the stakeholders. We need to preserve that community.
Yeah.
And they should be able to sustain themselves in the manner they want to.
Exactly. Thank you, Rashida. And this is actually really good what Rashida did. If you want to talk about both tourism and agriculture, just do so, because we might not be writing, looking at the agriculture sheet right now, but since this being recorded, the volunteers can, transcribe it later on. Also be quick. I'm sorry, but you'll have to be quick in your input. And the link is here. So in the meantime, if you want to keep on writing, all of us have access to write in the sheet. So if you, in the meantime, want to write as well, please go ahead. Okay, Prasanjit.
Sorry, Mandvi, if I can step in.
Yeah.
Like I have done the problem equals to so and so, solutions equals to, so people can type that also. Volunteers can. We're saving the chat. So if you can't even between windows, we will transcribe it. We'll save it. So we can have more
so just write in the chat as well. Yeah, good idea. Okay. So Prasanjit.
Yeah.
Challenge, solution, stakeholder.
Yeah, thank you. So I have been involved with the tourism in Sundarbans for quite a while, and what I have seen with the last 10 years, the challenge is mostly the local people. They are actually giving up the traditional agricultural process and all, and now they are going for some, like they are not going for agriculture at all, and they are planting trees like uh, uh, cash crop, like
Yeah.
eucalyptus and all those kind of trees. And yeah, and they are directly going for like buying boats and forming homestays, and they are trying to cope up with the growing tourism sector. So the problem is like as more people are directly coming to uh, tourism section, so there is competition, and to cope up with the competition they are uh, like some they are adapting to some foreign culture, like not foreign but actually urban culture, like using more plastic and using more like ready food. So they are actually forgetting their own tradition. So
Yeah.
that is
Coming to consumer ideas,
yes,
basically.
consumer idea, and they are actually learning that from the like urban setup, and they are implementing that in their own life. So that is the challenge, because now we are seeing that earlier 10 years back it was not that place is it was not having electric connection, but now they all have electric connection, and they are now trying to serve outsiders with AC rooms, and like cold drinks and everything is available now, but earlier it was not there. So
Yeah.
more development is going on, that is in the sense of electricity and connectivity. So local people are trying to offer more urban setup in Sundarbans rather than the traditional rural setup. So
Yeah.
that is a problem, and like you can we tried to
So,
make them understand.
Prasenjit,
Yeah,
yeah. So can you come to solution, and maybe because I understand that
yeah, sure.
you please do write it in the chat, because I think you have many more challenges to list.
So maybe the solution will be more awareness campaigns across the local people, and maybe a model setup that can prove that, okay, without being much more in an urban setup, we can still have visitors. And yeah,
the facilities can be there, but you don't have to really turn into an urban setup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's.
Thank you. And I take that the stakeholder would be the local community, because they are really falling into the trap. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And if you have more challenges, please do also write in the chat. Yeah. Thank you, Prasenjit. That was really a good intervention. Priyanka. Priyanka. She here? Priyanka. Okay. If not, then Nikhil.
Yes. So I will talk about agriculture. So basically what they have already said, that the problem is here that because we are using a lot of basically chemical based agriculture, and the policies which is buy from government, everything, the seeds, the chemical fertilizers, the insecticide, pesticides, it is getting a toll on the environment, and we are using clearing more forest to feed more the people. So, and then all this food is stacked at one place, okay, at suppose FCI, the Food Corporation of India. And if this food is not properly taken care, if like if you the walls are deteriorating, or the roof is not there, it is getting infested, it is not properly kept, the whole this resource is getting wasted without reaching to the public when there is need. Plus if it is black marketed, there is a problem. And then if I cannot say that how much land is required to feed the local people or to feed the whole population of India. But I think that if we do not stop this, creating more agriculture fields rather than forests, or we make a agroforestry, that will be a solution. If we make agroforestry where There is forest, there is agriculture, which I've seen in Karnataka. They don't cut trees and they think, and local people are one of the stakeholders. The consumer, basically the consumers of all India are the stakeholders, and the government should be important because should make policy for agriculture. That is one of thing. Should I tell about tourism also?
Please go ahead. Very quick, but
yes. So tourism, very simple, because of the pressure tourists have on the local people. Local people start using the resources whatever they have because they want to make money. They want to become more rich. Okay, they will use the resources in the local area to maximize their profits. But there has to be something policy which will not degrade the environment and degrade the aesthetic beauty of the local environment. And lastly, the government has to be the stakeholder. The tourists are the stakeholders, and the local people, because ultimately they will face problems when there is a disaster which is environment related.
Thank you, Nikhil. Madhura. Oh, Priyanka, are you here? Okay, so let's
take
Madhura.
I'm here.
Okay. May I please ask Madhura to go first and then
Priyanka? Sure.
Okay. Hi, thank you. I'm an ecologist by profession, and I now live in Goa. I've been in the field for quite a long time, and I'm just quickly stating my observations of having lived here. And I'm combining agriculture and tourism because in Goa they are both really very relevant and they are really intertwined. So I've already put my comments in the Excel sheet, and the problem I see here is too much emphasis on the Bollywood picture of Goa, like making Goa, people think of Goa as something else, like y'all, I guess everybody here will know what is the picture of Goa that is shown, and there's no respect for local agriculture, local people, local ways of living. The only way people know is beaches and bars. So the respect for local agriculture or local forests or anything is not there at all, and that's why the local the youth are not even trying agriculture. They only want to be in tourism, and for that they are becoming taxi operators or working in the casinos, or there is no respect for things like agroforestry, or there is an amazing culture of coconut and cashew plantations which can be really tapped in, and tourists can be taken to the hinterland and shown the other side of Goa, which there's no respect. So I just spoke about the problem, and also the stakeholders, I think I've just pointing out one or two things. There are several, but the stakeholders here are actually the local people who have local professions like growing paddy or growing local fruits, kokum and things like that. And the solutions, I think, is it has to be a complete turnaround of the vision of what Goa is towards the general public, and by the government to not encourage things like casinos and large enterprises, large scale tourism, but support local and small initiatives by homestays and things like that, which people are running, but they are nowhere in the scene. Nobody knows about them, and they're somewhere in the background. So that's really in short. There are other things also, but I think in the interest of time I'll just withdraw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But also please do keep writing in the chat or in the sheet.
Yeah, sure.
I also think in this context, the tourists also have to be one of the stakeholders, because when they have this, like you're saying, very Bollywood notion of what Goa is, they also need to be educated on,
Yeah, and when we are living here, we are walking on the street and we see people pulling out beer cans on the road, parked there haphazardly, and they have no respect for the local people. People come here and they wear all kinds of clothes and behave in a strange way, and they think that, oh, I'm not in my hometown, so I can do anything here. So it's become like a trash place. So that's really not acceptable for local. There has to be respect for local people. And so tourists also, like you say, it's very true. They also have to be respectful towards whatever is local. May it be Goa or may it be Mussoorie or wherever,
Wherever, I also take it from your point that there is also an aspect of safety and security of the locals because of the this kind of tourism. So I think we'll also record it. Okay. Thank you so much, Madhura. Priyanka.
Yeah, so I think everyone have covered what else I had to say, but one of the main reasons I see is like local people are giving up to the glamour of the urban culture, and they are getting attracted to it, and so they want to earn more money to get in there, have the smartphones, have the branded clothes and all. So I think we need to still instill a sense of pride among the local people about their own culture and the resources they have. And it should be more, the local thing should be more glamorized, and the local culture should be more glamorized. I think Instagram and Facebook is playing a great role in making people getting attracted to the urban world. But at the same time, we can move the thought process of the people from that urban glamour to the local local stuff.
Yeah, I think everyone. So the urban people have like really, what's this, local aspirations these days in terms of how they want to experience villages and all, and it's vice versa. There has to be like a middle way to it. Okay. Thanks, Priyanka. Jayashree. Hi, Jayashree.
Hello, I come from the educational background, and often when I take my children out to see places, small places very close to our school or very within the city, I find that these are all just places open, but there is no guide available, and we do not know actually what the treasure within is. And even as a teacher, I myself don't know many things. So if I have to know and value what is inside, I must know the worth of it. And for that, we really need people who will explain at best what I have seen, because I am an avid, person who likes to take children everywhere. And what I have seen is we have security professionals who are there to tell us, please keep away, don't touch, don't do that, don't do this, move fast, go away, and that's all. So my children are terrified of even, keeping their eyes on an object to see a little more than what they can understand. And that, I think, is hurting. This is, I'm talking about places which are say buildings and so on. But as far as open places are concerned, when we take our children, what we usually find is there is nobody around. And the absence of people in such open places also scares us. We are so used to having people around in the city, and suddenly when we go to a place like the zoo, there's hardly anybody who's interested in coming there, and so we feel alone there, and again we get lost. So I don't know how we can bridge. And sometimes we have even traveled a great distance.
Sugandha, hello.
To a particular place to find that it is closed for the day, because no, you can't go up the hill just because there is some water logging somewhere. But it's so embarrassing. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know any solution for this or anything. Over the years, this has been my experience.
Yeah. No, I also agree with you. Also, sometimes there is a lot of information being passed around because the guides are also not trained or not, there is no orientation of the guides as well. So, just a moment.
So if I can respond to you, Jayashree ji, actually, if you go to a farm, you take children to farmhouses or to agricultural field, that is where they can run around, they can touch things, they can, pick up things, smell them, taste them, eat raw. Oil is turned into dirt. Americans use this word dirt. How can what grows our food be called dirt? So, we need to change the vocabulary. So I think, immersive experiences, experiential learning is when you feel the cold, when you feel the heat, when you feel the soil, when you feel the smell of the cow dung, that is an immersive experience. It has to be a multi-dimensional, 6-7 dimensional experience that is there. So I think, farmland, agricultural areas you don't have this don't touch philosophy.
Yes,
You know?
we
No,
do
no,
go
no, no.
there.
You
Yes.
fall down. And in international schools, that's what, the lawyers follow the children into all these places. So both, we have to break that. Going on trekking, going to these, so sleeping in the tents with the bucky
Yeah.
ships, that's an immersive
Yes.
experience. So I think
Yes.
outdoor education and agricultural experiences are very, very, and
Yes.
they are very
We
well.
do.
Anand,
We do
let's
that.
also give these, because we don't have time, and I know you you please keep on writing in the chat, but I would also like other people to speak. Literally 2 minutes here to go. Amit Rajshirke. Hello, Amit. Not here. Okay. Hi, Amit. Would you like to say something, Amit? Is he writing on the chat? I can't read. Okay, then. Okay. I think, okay, Amit is continuing on the chat. Then we'll ask Purnima ji.
Yeah, I think all this are interconnected. Forest conservation, agriculture, tourism, and everything is interconnected. Because when I had gone to a BNHS trek in the forest, I was told that there are wild species of different herbs like ginger. You have sesame. You have so many banana. You have, I even saw basmati sapling. So when the commercial crops sometimes get, completely destroyed by some locust infestation or something, then they go back to the forest, they cultivate. You have turmeric also, wild turmeric. There's so many wild yam. And those are then converted into, I don't know if convert is a proper word, but I don't know any other word for this. So from the forest, they develop a commercial variety of the seeds, and then we have those crops, and those come on our plate. So we need to conserve the forest. So this is a problem. There is no sensitivity. People need to um, build a balance. I think tourists need to get mentored and counseled, as well as the local people who act as tourist guides. So tourists here want to stay in the forest, but when they see a snake or an insect, you are complaining. So that's not right. So same time, the locals have this problem that they look for money. They want income from what they're doing, and they have little respect for their own local culture. So we should see that you get money, and as well as they should be counseled in like the other speakers also. I said, I listened to many of them saying that local people also need to respect their own culture and all. Yeah. So that is how. So solution will be mentoring both, or counseling, or whatever, Yeah. And maybe community building and all that. And yeah, one solution would be we should conserve all the local varieties of seeds, so that we can grow. See, we don't see saffron growing anywhere. We don't see sandalwood there. They are our country was known for sandalwood, na? Yeah. One of my friends, she has a farm in Dharamshala. But you know what spices? When she said I'm growing spices, I thought local spices. But she's telling me I'm growing rosemary. Yes, oregano, rosemary,
vanilla.
Yes, right. Okay, so so I was really disappointed. I didn't tell her, but I was disappointed. Yeah, so that's what. Cows also, you have Jersey cows. Why don't you have
As a
a
local
desi?
variety.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Desi guy.
Desi guy. So we don't know anything about A1, A2 milk. That's a shame. That's a real shame. And then what happens? It is costly, so we don't buy it. Also, we can't force. I mean, persuade people to buy. They said, "Oh, सादा गुड़ तो इतने में मिलता है, देसी गुड़ 80 rupees kilo. When you get सादा गुड़ 30 rupees kilo, why should I go for?" So and also one more problem, you look at cauliflowers. I go for the light yellow, lightweight cauliflowers which are desi.
Yeah.
But these people will go for those heavy
Shiny
ones, heavy white color. So they go for all that glitters is gold.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Purnamaji. I think what you have also touched upon is two very important points. One is how also the industry, the big agro industry, and combined it with the tech industry, agro tech is changing our food and eating habits. And through this whole price difference between what is organic, what is chemical based, and that the organic has is still a niche thing. That unless until it becomes totally mainstream and affordable and accessible to all sections of the society, it shouldn't remain like an elite thing where only the elite are consuming organic this, organic that. But all social groups should be able to do that. That's another point. Okay, have I missed anyone except the three experts? Abhishek Kumar. Abhishek, would you like to say something? Because I want to then quickly cover words on solution challenges and stakeholder. Abhishek? No, not happening. Okay. So then 5 more minutes. I'll begin with Prerna. Prerna, give me very quickly one challenge, one solution, few stakeholders.
I agree with so many points which were shared, but I have something different perspective, which I think was talked about in the chat. We should also focus upon the travelers and the guests who are going to these places. It is good that we talk about the locals and the people who are organizing, are running these homestays or tourism properties, but the travelers are those who actually create the demand for ACs or very, very neat and clean, no snake, no insect kind of demand, and they want to live in that rural place, but they don't want a single insect to be there. So that can't be practical. So we need to create orientation, not programs, but at least some awareness level among the travelers too, that when you are traveling to a local destination, you should be aware and you should be expecting these kind of things over there. And you can't expect a complete setup of what you stay at or a 5-star luxury hotel in a rustic environment. You can't get that exactly. So that kind of reality, because I deal with travelers at the kind of demands they put, it's like a lot of them are very impractical. So that is something which we also need to focus upon.
Very well said. Kumar.
Yes, so very well, like Prerna, what you said, totally understand. And with everyone, my perspective is that, see, we need to agree that human beings, by definition, I'm saying tribal mindset, let's look at nomadic lives until the time where we are today. Human beings, by definition, are convenience freak. They love convenience. Philosophies might work for a given set of people. It might not work for all. Campaigns, awareness, all these things, they definitely work. But the gestation period, the transition, see, a campaign is done to bring a human behavioral transformation, some behavioral changes. And behavioral change for any generation or any human being, it takes generation to bring in a change. It has to start from the education, right from the kindergarten or maybe in the schooling stage. But we expect a campaign or something to create a drastic, transformation in the behavioral practice. We're talking about the travelers. We're talking about the stays. We're talking about that these people should grow this thing or not grow this thing. Absolutely fantastic. And that's totally, I also feel that pain, But these campaigns and these awareness stuff, they should definitely go on. But what will work? And it is not just about travel industry. Look at any industry of the world. What has worked? Unless there is a policy level implementation, unless there is a design which by definition enforces the travelers, these local stakeholders, the villagers, the community members, the storytellers, to do something which ensures the practical experience being experienced by the travelers and also ensure the sustainability, the transformation will be really a very long term. And therefore, my only say will be try to bring in a policy level change. Even if there is a policy change with a small, let's start from a single house. I as a homestay owner, or you as a homestay owner, or Prerna as Ecoplore, we decided anybody who's coming to us will have to follow these things. Of course, communicated in a very polite, very nice manner. Then the travelers would also go. If the travelers know that you are choosing me, you have to be ready to bear the smell of a cow dung. It's really going to be fantastic, And only then you are filtering it, right? When you are coming here, like in our communities, when travelers come to us, we say that, okay, whatever plastic is being produced because of your visit, that has to be taken back to your own city. You can't even throw in the dustbin. You can't even throw in the dustbin of a nearby city also. You have to take it back. Now, of course, everybody will not do that. But even if it starts with 2% of people or 5% of people, in slowly, and you have to incentivize it. Therefore, a policy level framework which actually enforces people to take an action is required. Otherwise, this philosophy will take much longer than yeah.
True. Incentives are really important, whether financial, social, whatever. You have to have a carrot and stick approach. Sugandha ji, last word. We have 2 minutes left. They will kick us out of the room. So
okay. For first, I'll add 3. 1, I'm not Sugandha ji. I'm Sugandha.
Sugandha, please.
2. I have always felt I'm sometimes too much of a disciplinarian and rod person is what my kids have told me. But I always feel that if churches and others can have sessions for couples before getting married and counseling, by the way, which we Indians desperately need for our this thing, why can't we insist that anyone who wants to come to a particular this thing, go through the background, read it, sign it, and only then, if your name is there in this thing, you will be permitted entry. That also goes, I agree with what Kumar was saying, totally. This is just a little, one step more than just the homestay. This can be through the governments and through the tourism departments. Of course, they're not going to do that. They are not interested in sustainability. They are just interested in getting their name out saying we're doing it when they don't do a damn thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that was precise, concise. We also have a lot of young volunteers here. So and still, because the timer hasn't started, would any of you like to make any intervention? Think about how youth is thinking about tourism, agriculture, any ideas, challenges, solutions? I know you guys have been writing here as well. Anyone wants to speak up? Okay, Sugandha. Thank you so much for joining us. Very nice meeting you. We'll definitely come back to you. I think there's a lot of conversation still pending.
I wanted to say one thing about from agriculture.
I look forward to it. Bye.
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 Thanks.
I think we'll be going out. So can I quickly say one thing from agriculture point of view? Yeah. One is volunteer tourism, which is working in a lot of places. So if we go to those areas to provide and do changes to the community in the sense education or restoration or the construction, we learn a lot from that. So volunteer tourism is one. Second is that, one has to realize that we have to take the local people into consideration and discuss with them as to what they want. Because aspiration, they look at what the city people do and then you're telling them don't do it. So first ask them what kind of stuff that we want. We never take them into the discussion. So taking the local people, women, of course, Bankar has mentioned, etc. So and disability tourism, that is a huge area. Senior citizens tourism. These are areas that nobody wants to touch. Nobody wants to take disabled people. Nobody wants to take senior citizens. Senior citizens have lots of money and lots of time. Nobody wants to take them. So I think these are some of the low-hanging fruits. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So what are we doing? Are we breaking?
Yes, I think any volunteers, we are breaking out. I think we're getting back in 30 seconds.
Well, thank you so much, Kumar, Prerna, and all the participants who have actively contributed to this discussion. It was really nice, and I think some of us can already start, building synergies and building knowledge, at least knowledge-based partnerships here, because there is a lot of experience in the room, and we need to be able to tap it fully. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mandvi. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here.
Absolutely. Same here.